Welcome to Raw Thoughts from a Former Marine, where I share my thoughts and real experiences on major global events that are shaping our world today. A little bit about me before we get started. I served as a Marine from 1997 until September 3rd, 2001. My last duty station, I was stationed just outside the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. And after the events of September 11th, I felt the need to be part of that world again. So I joined the Navy, serving with the Maritime Security Forces from 2002 to 2006. During that time, I did 3 tours in theater, and now I'm a 100% disabled vet. I've spent a significant part of my life gaining firsthand experience in real world events, and not just reading about them, but actually being on the ground, witnessing and understanding them in real time. So this isn't just like another headline to me. I've been there, I've lived it, and experienced it firsthand. Uh, Today, I just want to sit down and explain some things I know about how Russia and Iran and their military, economic, and political ties have changed over the years. I'm going to try to do my best to break this down in a way that's easy to grasp because I know a lot of people are overwhelmed when trying to understand what's really going on in the world. Let's be honest, the media often adds its own spin, making it hard to get a clear picture. So this is just me, an average guy, talking to you, another average person, trying to make sense of it all together, right? So, in my opinion, we need we need to take a look back at how Russia and Iran, their relationship and partnership has grown and faltered over the years. It's been a roller coaster, bouncing between cooperation and deep mistrust. The Soviet Union was the first to recognize the Islamic Republic of Iran in 1979. But then during the Iran-Iraq War in the 80s, Moscow backed Iraq, which is a total 180, right? Then in the late 90s, the arms deal and energy partnerships started drawing them together again, another 180. So let's fast forward back to 2015. And their military collaboration in Syria set the stage for even deeper ties. So the real game changer, it was Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. That was when their relationship shifted from we can help each other when it's convenient to we need each other to survive. I don't think it was an easy road for either of them. These two countries don't trust easily. And honestly, they still don't fully trust each other, in my opinion. But what unites them is their opposition to Western influence. That shared enemy makes a strong glue, at least for now, right? So, the next thing I think we should talk about is what's really fueling their alliance, in my opinion, and that's military cooperation. Since 2022, Iran has been handing over thousands of Shahed 136 drones to Russia, and Moscow has been using them to hammer Ukraine. But that's not all. Ballistic missiles, air-to-ground bombs, intelligence, a steady flow of hardware has been making their way from Tehran to Moscow. In return, Russia has been sending Iran Yak 130 combat trainer aircraft, maybe even more advanced weapons that we don't know about yet. Intelligence again, satellite imagery, who knows? Now, let's think about this for a second. Iran isn't just supplying weapons, they're learning. They're watching Russia's battlefield strategies in Ukraine and seeing what works and what doesn't. That's valuable intel that they can apply to their own military operations down the road. Meanwhile, Russia is helping Iran build a domestic weapons production, ensuring that Iran won't need foreign suppliers in the future. That's a huge deal for Iran. Money makes the world go around, right? That's no different for Russia or Iran. Both of them are heavily sanctioned by the West, so they've had to create their own source of income and revenue stream. They've started trading in their own currencies instead of the U.S. dollar. They're using cryptocurrency. They're even working on alternative trade routes that the West can't monitor or block. Here's the kicker: Iran isn't just helping Russia economically, they're providing key components for Russia's drone production. That means Russia isn't just handing or using Iranian drones, they're making their own variations now. This isn't some short-term alliance, in my opinion. These guys could possibly be laying the groundwork for long-term survival in the theater. So next is politics. This is where things kind of get interesting. And Russia and Iran just don't trade weapons and cash. They back each other on the global arena. They defend each other's actions, provide political cover, and push narratives that counter Western influence. Russia supports Iran's stance on Israel, and Iran is one of the few nations backing Russia's war in Ukraine. Here's my question: can this partnership actually last? Their interests overlap now, but history tells us that they don't always see eye to eye. Iran has big regional ambitions in the Middle East, where Russia has its own geopolitical chessboard to manage. If their priorities shift, this so-called strategic alliance could crack. The question isn't if when, or isn't if, it's when, in my opinion. So what's next? If history is any guide, Russia and Iran will keep working together as long as they have a common enemy, which is the West. But their different goals mean that this isn't an alliance built to last forever. And let's not forget China. Beijing has ties with both Iran and Russia. If China starts favoring one over the other, this could throw a wrench in their plans. At the same time, China getting into the mix could even change dynamics entirely. If Beijing ramps up its economic and military backing for either Russia or Iran, it could completely alter the balance of power, forcing these nations to reconsider their alliances and strategies in ways that we might not yet anticipate. If China decides it needs Russia more than Iran, Tehran could suddenly find itself out in the cold. For those of us watching from the outside, the key takeaway, in my opinion, is this: a strong Russia benefits Iran, and a strong Iran benefits Russia. If the West wants to counter one, then it has to think about both, and possibly a third. This isn't just about Ukraine war or the Middle East. It's about the bigger picture on a global scale, on the world map. So before we wrap this up, I'd like to give you a couple questions to ponder and think about internally and try to figure out things for yourself. Is this alliance between Russia and Iran truly strong, or is it just temporary arrangement born out of necessity? And what happens if China decides to play a bigger role? What would that mean for the two of them and then possibly three of them? Okay, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everyone watching this episode of Raw Thoughts, and I hope this gave you something to think about. Even if it just made things a little bit clearer, that's a win in my book. If it did, please subscribe, leave me a review. Let's keep this dialogue going. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and most importantly, think for yourself.